Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I've got the penultimate session, which I don't know if that's a good idea or the post-lunch is better, I don't know. But anyway, so as I was introduced there, we're going to talk about features and functionality of APA databases on EBSCOHost. First of all, can I ask, how many of you have heard of EBSCOHost? Wow, quite a lot of you. Okay. How many of you actually used EBSCOHost? Okay, that's a good number. Okay. So EBSCOHost is our native search platform. My name is Richard Crookes. I work for EBSCO, the company that provides this service. So I'm going to go through basically what APA databases are available through this platform initially. You may not have access to each one of them. Most of them you will, but I may touch on some that you don't yet, or you may have through another means. You may have access, for example, to other databases through the British Psychological Society as well. Then we'll look at some key features and also specifically EBSCO's functionality in searching. So I'm hoping to give you a live demo, albeit brief, and try and keep to time as much as possible because I know you're eagerly waiting for 12:30. And then remind you that we do have ample support materials available on this platform. Okay, so just a brief bit about myself. So I'm a senior customer engagement manager, which in practice means I'm a trainer for EBSCO. I'm also a chartered librarian, so I worked in the NHS for over 12 years as a librarian in various roles. So basically I work for customer engagement, which means I engage with people. I don't provide wedding rings or counseling for marriage. It is primarily training, but I also take feedback from our users. So if there's anything that you've experienced with EBSCOHost, with our databases or the access to our platform, then I'm happy to feed that back to our product development team as well. I also advise library staff, librarians on the use of the service and how they can optimize it. And I've already spoken some things that I would advise on as far as any changes that can be made to the interface. Okay, so what I want to do briefly is go through the databases specifically, I say very briefly, and then we'll look at the live demo. Okay, I would also mention that we are the only provider that currently has access to the APA thesaurus that can be indexed directly through our EBSCO Discovery service, which is accessible through the British Psychological Society. So we have a great partnership, working partnership with the APA. I have liaised with their customer relations team in terms of preparing training materials. So we do have a good rapport with the APA as a company. So let's look at the APA databases initially. So these are not in any particular order. Some may be familiar to you, some may not be. The first one is Psych Articles. That is a small subset of published journals by the APA that are available full text. So these are journal articles, book reviews, letters, etc. Psych Info may be much more familiar to you, providing you scholarly, peer-reviewed literature in relation to behavioral science and mental health. I probably don't need to go into too much detail about the content of these databases, as they may be familiar to you already. Psych Tests, that's not currently accessible through Senate House libraries, but basically it gives you structured information about tests and measures. And some of these may be downloaded from the site itself. We won't get into that today, but if you want more information, I will be at a stand this afternoon in the hall there. I've got flyers on some of these products. I'm happy to do some sample demos if you want to see more in depth this afternoon, so we'll be around for most of the day for that. Then, of course, we have Psych Books as well, which provides you with access to recently published APA handbooks. So we have about 1,000 of those indexed in this database, and also access to classical works as well by people like Freud, Adler, and so on. So there are about 3,000 or so of those available through Psych Books. And then finally, Psych Extra. So if you're looking for the grey literature, for conference proceedings, reports, government reports, etc., it's available through Psych Extra. So that's dealing a lot with non-peer-reviewed content. So the great thing about this database is means you can access content that you may not get so easily elsewhere. Now, having given you a very brief overview of each of those databases, I want to mention also the fact that they're available through the EBSCO's platform means that you can cross-search them. It also means that even if I demo one database and I'll look at Psych Info, the principles for searching there will be essentially the same for each of these databases. So once you're familiar with EBSCOHost, and it seems like some of you are already, then obviously it means searching those other resources is a lot easier. It also means you can cross-search them as well, and it will remove duplicate records automatically where the citations match. I will also point out a few key features in a moment as well about what, as a company, we can provide through the service. So just to touch on the initial things, and we'll look at these very briefly. So the search experience, the way you limit your search, the way you refine the EBSCO results, and then look at the results specifically, and also how you save and process those records as well. And there are many various ways to do that. And then if you're looking to save your search for future access or run search alerts, I can cover that very briefly as well. Again, if you want more detail about some of the functionality, happy to cover that with you this afternoon in the hall. So just to highlight some key features again about the interface. So if you're searching with more precision, you have features like age groups, so you can limit to the age of the human research subject. Document type, again, you're focused on particular document types like reviews, interviews, and so on. The methodology, again, you can refine through the various limiters available, such as literature review, meta-analysis, qualitative studies, and so on. Population group, publication type. This is by no means exhaustive. There's a lot more here. And again, we've got online help system, and also we have documentation provided by the APA for our platform. Now, I want to say, before we get onto the live demo, just a couple of things about what we call smart links. So our databases, using the same platform, are able to make use of full text available through other databases. So if Senate House Libraries or the BPS subscribe to more of our content, that content, full text, is transferable across the range of databases. So if you take PsycInfo, for example, which is an abstract and index-only database, because of our smart link system, it means it will pull through full text content from psych articles, psych books, etc. So to you, the user, you're just getting full text access to content through that interface. But we know it's actually, strictly speaking, abstract and index only. So this system is in place so that you can access seamlessly full text content where it is available through other full text databases provided by EBSCO. Okay. There's another feature called Smart Links Plus. This works in a similar way, but this time it picks up online subscriptions that Senate House Library has with EBSCO. So if it's electronically available, for example, from Wiley, from Taylor and Francis, those links will be pulled through and again will be linked to the appropriate record in the EBSCO's interface. Okay, so you're getting access to full text content that's available in other EBSCO databases through a specific database like PsycInfo, okay, with no extra work on your part. Okay, so I just want to briefly introduce you to those concepts. Okay, I'll skip some of this. This is just made for reference. So what I'm going to do now is just go to the interface. Okay, so I'm going to log in here myself in this demo. Okay. So if you want clarification about the way we access the databases, you could talk to Mira during the break time, or you could also talk to me later. We can clarify that for you in going through Senate House Libraries. So I'm just looking for the, so we're going to go to PsycInfo here. I would mention here, as I mentioned earlier about cross-searching, in this list of databases, I could select, for example, Psych Books, Psych Extra, PsycInfo, and search them simultaneously. Okay, I don't know how many of you cross-search as a rule. Probably with the research that you're doing, you're going to interrogate them individually to do more comprehensive searching for each database. But if you're doing some horizon scanning, you want to see what's out there, you can select multiple databases, run the search through the EBSCO's interface. So let's just go to PsycInfo here. Okay, so this brings up the advanced search screen, which is the common entry point for this kind of level. And we have what we call our guided style fields. So what does that mean? That means not only can we perform our queries here with the multiple rows, we can combine using the operators here and or not, but we've also got these drop-down fields as well, so we can search for the items within specific fields. Okay. We've also got another feature which I'll highlight in a moment, and that is the use of the APA thesaurus. You can get to it directly from here. And then you can run a search across the APA terms to pick up the authoritative controlled vocabulary for that subject, as opposed to just running a standard keyword search. Okay. So I'm going to go back here. So I'm going to do a quick search, try to keep my eye on the time. So I'm going to look at stress here, or anxiety. Okay. I'm not trying to do a comprehensive literature search. I'm just going to try and keep it simple just for the sake of time. But I'm actually going to look for within a specific field. So I'm going to look within the title field in this case. Okay. I'm also going to combine it with the abstract search as well for the same terms. Okay. So I'm making use of the multiple rows plus the operator here for or, and I'm going to search within the abstract. Okay. So when I run that search, you should see it appear in the search history below. So this interface has been set up to display the search history automatically, so you can immediately see what we've done. You also see the syntax that's included here. So TI, title, AB for abstract. So although we've used the multiple rows, it's provided you with indication of the syntax we're using for this particular search. Okay. So that's one way of searching. I'm using keywords, but I'm defining the fields I search in. Okay. If I did not search title abstract, it would perform an unqualified search, which is based on certain fields, and you can find that information on the help menu. So that's one way we can search if you were looking for title or abstract. Now I'm going to combine it with another topic. I'm looking at cognitive behavioral therapy. So this time what I'm going to do is type in the phrase here. Okay, therapy. And this time I'm going to actually search for that term within the thesaurus. So if you select this box here when it's available, suggest subject terms, and click search, it's going to direct me to the APA thesaurus for PsycInfo. So it brings up a list of terms. So these are the index terms. And not surprisingly, the first one is, you guess it, cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay? Which makes a lot of sense. I've also got this option to explode, which basically means it's going to include narrow terms that relate to that term. So I could have just searched for cognitive behavioral therapy as a keyword search, and it would look for that exact match, okay, as it's spelled, etc. However, this time I'm actually pulling through the preferred index term. So if I click add here, it will provide us with the record of these index terms. So DE simply means descriptor. So in PsycInfo, PsycBooks, etc., it's the abbreviation for a subject index term coming from the APA thesaurus. So each of these are index terms. So each of these have been assigned to articles about this topic to identify what is the content about. Okay, so we've got cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure therapy. Those may not have been picked up if I just stuck to my keyword search. But indexers have identified the nature of the article, the results in PsycInfo, to say it is about these topics. Okay, so I can then search for these. And again, you'll see that appear in the search history, just below there. So I've got my initial search, and you'll notice they're ranked with the latest search above the original one. That's okay when you're working through it, but if you need to report on it, write up on it, it's probably a good thing just to resort that, and you've got the option above here to resort. So the search ID and hash will resort it, okay, and in a more logical sequence. So I can then combine these two terms. So we're looking at CBT in relation to stress or anxiety. So I can select these both and combine here, search with AND. So now I'm putting those results from both sets into one set, which is S3, and then you can see the results below. Okay. So they're displayed below. So once I've got a set of results like that, I can then refine it further. I've got some options. So for example, I can look for linked full text, which means it's basically anything that you can get to full text through this database Again, think of the Smart Link process in addition to any online subscriptions. I won't go through all these. You've got the publication date as well. So I've got records from 1988 to the present. So I can drag this across and pull this through, maybe the last 20 years. Again, I'm not going to use all these options here. And then I've got source types. So you can see we've got mostly our academic journals from this results list here. And I can just go through the list and refine. So you may not use all those limits at any one time, all the time, but again, they're there if you need them. There may be some key ones that would be of particular relevance, and that is, age and gender, for example. You've got subject major heading, by the way, that corresponds also with the AP thesaurus. Major heading means it's the major focus of that research, of that article. So cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, could have been mentioned in some context, but it's not the primary treatment or intervention, it's just there. Whereas choosing it in this option, this index term, it's saying this is what it's about. This is the intervention in relation to stress or anxiety. And then if we scroll further. By the way, if you wonder why there's subject as well, we often get this question. You've got subject, major heading, subject. Subject are the author or abstract to supply keywords. They're not the APA terms. So again, just consider whether you want to use those or not. You've got publication. That's useful not only to find articles within a given publication, so you could refine it to that particular publication. It's also useful to know because in a topic like this, it gives you an indication as to where that research is being published. So if you yourselves are looking to publish research or write a paper for a particular journal, then you can see where the results are appearing. The top journal is based on the hit count there. So it might give an indication as to which publication you should look to publish. Okay. We won't go through the publisher. We've got language there. Obviously, unlike me, if you're multilingual, then you've got the advantage that you can check other literature without it being translated. But again, you can choose there. Now, for each of these options, by the way, you may wonder, if you're going to choose one at a time, how do I, for example, how can I get limit to English and French, or English, French, and Polish? To do that, you would simply click Show More and choose from this list. Okay, so it is possible to apply more than one limit to your search. So if I did this, literally, I could just choose this. Okay, and run an update. And that would just remove any other language articles and keep those, as it were. So finally, let's look at, so you've got age and gender. So if you look at a particular age group, so adults, 18 plus, then again, you can refine the search. Age group is again using the index term for that article. So it's based on the content of the article in relation to that age group. Okay, and then as we scroll through this, you've got gender, so you can go classification. These are codes that are based on the content within PsycInfo. Okay. Methodology, so if you're looking at a particular study, like quantitative research, for example, as opposed to qualitative, you've got that there as well. So again, you've got interview, etc. Okay. And then you've got also tested measures and population. So again, I won't go through all those. If you do want more information on these, then I'd recommend going to the help menu on the top right there. This is generic across the platform, but if you want database-specific help, then I would go to right down to the bottom, and you'll see the link to PsycInfo or PsycExtra or PsycArticles, etc., depending on which database you're looking. And that'll give you the definitive information about this particular database, some examples for searching, and also it gives you, importantly, the actual searchable fields and what they cover and how they work, so whether word or phrased index. So if you're looking at constructing a search query using the field codes, etc., searchable tags, it gives you an indication there of what they are and how you'd use them. It also lists the definition of the fields as well. So if you want more information about these, then you can browse through this, okay, in your own time. So just background information. If you need to use that, then you can access that material through this help menu. Okay. Of course, once you've got your search, you can look at the results here. I won't go to spend too much time on this. Depending on how it's sorted, for example, I've got the most recent record displayed here. You might have the most relevant. I know the setup currently with Senate House Libraries, with their databases, is to give you the most relevant as opposed to the newest reference. But you can toggle between the two. So if I look now, you can see we've got references here. You can view the full abstract by dragging the mouse over the magnifying glass here. And then this is a bit fiddly with a keypad. That's why I use a mouse at home. Okay, as you see there. And you've got the full text here. I won't say anything about PDF. I think most of you have probably seen a PDF in your lifetime, more than enough. But with HTML, with the EBSCOHost platform, you've got two features here to highlight. One is the ability to translate the article. So you can translate any article from English to another language. We support up to about 30 languages. Anything from, includes Danish, German, Farsi, simplified Chinese, Polish, etc., Russian, and so on. Obviously, if you're a native speaker of those languages, you'll know how good that is. It's the machine translation. Okay, so I cannot tell you how good it is, but you will know. The other feature that you have here as well is the text-to-speech software. So this allows you to have the article read to you. Okay, so you don't need to read it yourself. You can listen to it. You can download the MP3 for this. At the moment, for some reason, mine's set to American. I'm not American. I did study there for 4 years, but I still get asked when am I going back, but I am not from the US. But you've got Australian or British, so okay, so you've got a choice of accents there, and then you can make adjustments to the actual settings. So, for example, the speed, the coloring of sentences. So, as you follow the text, you can choose your color, etc. Okay, so I actually was at a university recently and had a comment from a librarian who did his master's program. He's visually impaired, and he found this feature very, very helpful. So he was the first person I think I've met who actually is visually impaired who used this feature and commented on it. So that was good to know for us. But it's also useful generally because it allows you to listen to it or download the MP3. So wherever you see an HTML full text link, you will find those features available, both the translation and text-to-speech software. Okay. So I just wanted to highlight those two features. And of course, you've got these options on the right-hand panel there. So if you're looking to save the record, you can save it here to your folder. You can email it from this tools menu here. If you want to know how to cite as well, we've got reference styles given here. So you'll find as APA is also there listed. Now we do expect you also to consult your tutors, to consult your local library service as well, because these are generic. Okay, there may be some variations for you. Okay, we have export functionality too, so you can export records directly. Does anyone use EndNote or Zotero Reference Manager? Yeah. Okay, so if you're looking to export rather than save it to the folder, then you could do a direct export via email, or you could save the record in RS format. I'm going to go back to the results list as well, because we're looking at saving results here. So if you wanted to save from this list of results, so you can save an individual record, you can also go through the result list and select the folder icon, and then you can save that information. Okay. If preferred, you can save a complete list here. So if I can go to share here, I can save up to 50 records per page. They are stored in the folder. And for that, and I won't do it for the sake of time, but you will need to sign in to save them beyond the session. So you do need to create an account for that. So at the moment, I could save these records for the session. I can select them, and I can export them from here if I wanted to. If I want to save them beyond the session, I need to sign in here. I can either use Google Sign In, or I can create an account. Okay, again, we've got more information available on the website for that. So that's if you want to save them beyond the session. The last thing I'll show you, as I know where time is up now, is the export option as well. So if rather than go through the folder, you just want a direct export to take these away, to create your bibliography, go to share, and hopefully if I set this up correctly, it should be here. You've got this option to email a link to download exported results. So that allows you to export, in this case, 847 records. You can then import that in. You receive a link to that information. You can extract it and import it into EndNote, Reference Manager, etc. Okay, so that export option is there. So if you're looking to create a bibliography from multiple resources, then you can use that feature to include those results as well. It will support up to 25,000 records. I know, having attended a Cochrane presentation, they will often, they expect the minimum of like 26,000. So we're quite close to what Cochrane would expect if you're conducting systematic reviews and you want to screen out content, etc. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to briefly go back to my PowerPoint and point out to you, we've got our help menus here. So again, just to highlight these. There are links in the PowerPoint, so you will get copies of this, or I have links to this. So we've got the APA training website. They've got videos for our interface. They've created them. They are updating them. We've got our own tutorials on the EBSCOHost platform as well from the EBSCO Connect site. And we do have a dedicated training page as well. Okay, so we do run public sessions which are open to our customers, our users, but we also set up particular trainings as well online as and when needed. And usually we do this through librarians. Okay. So I believe we'll take questions later on this afternoon. Thank you.